Creating space for peace is this channel's name, this YouTube channel's name. My name is Robin. Maybe you haven't seen this before, but in this video I just want to talk about an insight that I've been having about creating space for peace, or creating spaces for peace, which I've been part of for the last 10 years in different ways, through yoga, meditation, sound healing, different modalities of healing and nervous system regulation. And what dawned for me the last week is that I've been searching myself for ways to create ways for peace and ways to liberate myself from suffering in different ways. But been finding myself in life that there's something that I've missed along the way. And that has been that I've been trying to transcend upward to reach, higher states of consciousness or bliss through different modalities, trainings, and whatnots, and concepts. And what's been really missing, and what's been avoiding, what I've been avoiding through like just silent sitting meditation, is that I've been numbing myself for I don't know how long, maybe forever, when it comes to my spiritual practices or my ways of showing up in life. That there's been a big proportion of avoidance that has spanned over my whole life, like a big theme that I've been seeing more and more in the last year, for sure. And what came to me last week is that I've been in a deep process of going through emotional stuff and emotional regulation, and a lot of tears and a lot of grief. And that has been interesting to see that the creating spaces for peace that I've been part of has been great, but it's also been missing the anchor of grief. So creating space for grief is also something that is very important, because otherwise, if we avoid grief, if we avoid sadness and avoid those feelings that we label as bad, or that we are taught as children to not feel, because then we are bad boys or bad girls, what happens is that avoidance and numbness and that kind of refusal and shutting down those emotions, they get trapped in the body. And we can reach high up as much as we want, but as Carl Jung says, a tree that grows upward also has to go downwards. And grief, when not looked at, when you first open that lid, it's tough. It's been tough for me to look at that. And what I feel as well is that it's not just the grief that comes up in the present moment, it's also opening up the floodgate to all the spaces and all the people and all the past hurts and all the past traumas that I haven't felt, that is coming to the surface to be felt. It's like when you open a bit the door to that dimension in yourself, then there might be some other people and parts of ourselves that wants to be heard and acknowledged for the first time in a long, long time. Because as I see it, my withholdment of grief, my avoidance of feeling my feelings, is part of my burnout, my way of not showing up in relationship, my avoidant tendencies when it comes to attachment. It basically exists in all aspects of my life. And to come to terms with that is something that you don't switch that in a heartbeat. It's years that might be of repressed emotions. Because if we repress any emotion, if it's grief, sadness, or anger, which I've also been quite good at, I've never seen myself as an angry person, and been always seen as a grounded and down-to-earth man. But that is also, I think, of course, I think that there's some truth in that, but there's also one big part of that is also disassociation to your feelings, to your body, and there's a numbness that, and also taking distance from people. Because if I'm close to people, they might trigger that part of me that I don't want to be feel, or that part of me that got shunned as a boy or when I was younger. So if we don't allow ourselves to feel grief, if we don't allow the sadness to run through us, if we don't allow to feel the anger, then what happens is usually a collapse, which I've witnessed myself and a collapse in relationships and a collapse in identity. And because if we can't feel the grief, if we can't feel the sadness, then we cannot feel the higher states of joy or happiness, because you can only love someone as much as you love yourself, or like if there's parts of you that haven't processed, it's like this seesaw of grief and joy, happiness and sadness. If we repress this part, then this also has to follow. We can't be super happy but not be able to not feel our grief, right? So, and grief is also an important part and feeling in the society at large that we have forgotten as a culture. The grief rituals and allowing ourselves to be seen in crying and grieving together. And it speaks to the culture that has also forgotten to honor death and to see that death is merely a pathway and initiation to something new. That we see that grief is very much closely related to death, and if we wouldn't have death, then we wouldn't have life. And we have a death-phobic culture, and I'm afraid of, or can feel like afraid of dying, or when I have an identity lost, that like, who am I now, and what does this mean? And there's an impatience there to trying to claw your way out of winter, when winter needs to take you down, and you have to descend into darkness, into the void, and into the depths of your grief. And that's been a process that I've been really feeling into, and also very much tried to avoid with doom scrolling or whatever, or numbing out to just avoiding things at large. So death and grief is a pathway to new life, to new opportunities. It's not the end all. It's not the end of all. It's just another beginning and initiation. So how about creating space for peace also can incorporate creating space for grief, to allow both of those polarities to exist, to feel everything and rise. That was, my rant for today. So if we don't create space for grief, then things might get murky in our lives and show up in the exterior world as something we need to process and look at. But if we can try to mitigate and feel more, to be more, then also we can allow ourselves to live fully, and to allow our power and everything really to be fully there and felt. If we suppress the shadow, we also suppress the light. Okay, that's enough. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.